Welcome to Motorcycle Mantras. Regular oil changes are vital maintenance. They're simple and relatively inexpensive. They can extend the life of your bike and keep it running in top form. In this video, we are changing the oil on my 2008 SV650. Now, I absolutely love this bike and it's due for an oil service. We're going to cover everything that you'll want to know to do the job, and we'll also take a look at the factory service manual to highlight some of the procedures and best practices from Suzuki. First off, here are all the supplies that I used. A broken down cardboard box, a pair of disposable gloves and some paper towels, 14 and 17 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, a new copper crush washer for the drain plug. I've got an oil filter from K&N and 3 quarts of 10W40 oil from Mobil 1. Of course, I'll also need a funnel and an oil catch pan. Now for service intervals, here's the factory service manual. Suzuki wants the oil changed every 4,000 miles and the filter every third oil change. Now personally, I do them both every time because I want to replace as much of the dirty oil as possible. Also, the engine should be warmed up and the bike upright. You're going to drain the oil first by removing the drain plug and filler cap. All right, so I took the bike out on a short ride to get it warmed up, and I've got it upright on the rear stand. So let's take a closer look at this right side of the bike. Right here is your oil sight gauge or inspection window. And you can see the oil's dirty and it's just below the full mark. And I will go ahead and remove the oil filler cap right here. Now to the left side of the bike, the oil filter is right here on the front. And the drain plug is right here. It's a 14 millimeter. Next, to remove the drain plug, I'll take the 14 millimeter ratcheting wrench, break it loose, and then spin it off by hand. And now the dirty oil will start to drain out. And this drain plug has a small magnet on the end of it, which is designed to collect any metal shavings. Now, if you have some shavings, it's probably not an issue, but you want to be on the lookout for any three-dimensional pieces or chunks of metal. Those could definitely be red flags. Next, I'm going to replace this copper crush washer. They're designed to be one-time use, and installing a new one will reduce the likelihood of any oil seeping past the drain plug. Next up, for removing the filter, depending on what type of filter you're taking off, you may want to use a filter wrench or pliers. Now this K&N has the wrench off, which is just that 17 millimeter nut on the end, which makes it really easy. So I'm going to go ahead and break it loose a few turns with the tool and then remove it by hand the rest of the way. And of course, some oil is going to come out when you take this off. And now you're going to want to make sure that none of the old O-ring on the filter, this gasket, is stuck to the base plate where the filter mounts right there. So this one's looking good. Now back to the manual, it tells us to apply some clean oil to the filter gasket and put the new filter on with our hand until it makes contact, then give it 2 more turns. So I'm going to go ahead and use some new oil to lubricate the filter's O-ring gasket and get it installed. Now I'm just going to spin it on by hand until it essentially sits flush with that mounting plate. And then use this 17 millimeter to give it about 2 more rotations. Next up, per the manual, the drain plug's torque spec is 15 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead and install the drain plug by hand, being very careful that you don't cross-thread it when you put it on. And once it's hand tight, I'm just going to use the wrench to make it snug. And I'm really just using my calibrated elbow here, so to speak, but you can certainly use a torque wrench if you're so inclined to. All right, we're almost finished. The manual is going to tell us 2.9 quarts for the oil and filter change. Back to the other side of the bike, we're going to use our funnel and fill the engine with just under 3 full quarts of oil. Now, this is also a great time to look underneath and make sure that we're not leaking oil from anywhere. And once we're done pouring, we'll go ahead and put the fill cap back on. And the last step that we need in the manual, let's start up the engine and let it idle, then turn it off and wait 3 minutes. And then we'll check the oil level through the inspection window. So I've let the bike idle for a few minutes, shut it down, and then waited a few minutes. And it's a little tough to see with the lighting here, but the oil in the inspection window is nice and clean. It's just a little above the full line, but I'm okay with that. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, wearing good safety gear like a DOT, ECE, or Snell rated helmet is one of the biggest things you can do to protect yourself when you ride a motorcycle. Ride safe and take care.